Not forget about Brock Purdy and the 49ers as being a major contender in the NFC conference. If you ask an NFL fan right now, the average fan, you say, who do you have coming out the NFC? Some may say the Philadelphia Eagles, rightfully so. They're the reigning defending Super Bowl champions. They dismantled Kansas City 5 months ago. Some may say the Detroit Lions, even though they have 2 brand new coordinators, one the offensive end, one the defensive end as well. Detroit, tough football team. They may say the Washington Commanders, Jaden Daniels, star-studded rookie season last year, had a great year with him. But when I look at consistency, the 49ers are right there with the Philadelphia Eagles as being a contender in the NFC conference. I'm going to tell you why in this video. Now, last season, they went 6-11. That's terrible, but there's a lot of context behind this record. We'll talk about it in the next few minutes. But 6-11 in 2024, 2023, 12-5, they went to the Super Bowl. They lost to Kansas City in overtime. This was the first full year with Brock Purdy being the starting quarterback with this organization. He didn't have to worry about Trey Lance taking first-team reps and the same Jimmy Garoppolo. This was officially his team, and rightfully so. Because in 2022, he showed out. They went 13-4. They went to the NFC Championship game again. They lost to Philadelphia. But for context here, they started the season with Trey Lance. Hurts his ankle early in the year. He was a bust his organization. Jimmy Garoppolo comes in for a couple of games. They look good. He goes down with a foot injury, breaks his foot. They go to Brock Purdy undefeated for the rest of the year. They go to the NFC Championship game against Philadelphia. He tears the UCL and his throwing arm. He's out for the rest of the game. Let's pause here for a second. A lot of 49er fans, they feel like if Brock didn't go down, they would have had the Philadelphia Eagles beat. They would have went to the Super Bowl yet again. That's consistency. I'm not going to make that argument here. It is what it is. But for a player that damn near went undrafted, he goes out there, comes in, and goes to the NFC Championship game. Great on Brock Purdy. In 2021, 10-7, another NFC Championship appearance, and they did lose in the conference game. The 49ers have consistency on their side. You may ask, so what happened last year? It wasn't because of Brock Purdy. He wasn't the main reason to why they had a 6-11 season, even though he did miss time with a back injury. They had so many injuries on the field. Christian McCaffrey, you can say their best offensive player, goes down with a PCL injury. He already had Achilles problems entering the year. That PCL injury came against the Buffalo Bills. He's out for the rest of the year. Ricky Pearsall, top rookie. They selected him in the first round. Shoulder injuries, misses some of the season, and he got shot as well. He missed time. Within this time frame, you have so many injuries going on. Brandon Ayuk, he missed time in training camp. He was rusty to begin the season. As soon as he started to feel a groove, he gets injured against Kansas City. Tears pretty much every ligament in his knee. So they had a lot of injuries here. Trent Williams, he missed some time. And he had problems going on off the field with his family. Him and Travarius Ward. I wish them nothing but the best moving forward. So it's a lot of things here that played in part to why they went 6-11. But before I get into the offense here and Brock Purdy and the breakdown, I really want to talk about their defense over the last few years. Their defense has not been the same. Now, statistically, it hasn't been terrible. But in big time moments, their defense has not showed up for them. Like how it did with Robert Saleh, how it did in the past with DeMeco Ryans. As soon as DeMeco Ryans left, he became the head coach of the Houston Texans. They took a step back in terms of pass rushing and stopping the run in general. Steve Wilks was their defensive coordinator. Now, you went to the Super Bowl with Steve Wilks. Steve Wilks, in my opinion, is a very good defensive mind. He didn't fit the 49ers. When you look at Robert Saleh and DeMeco Ryans, those defensive coordinators, they're known for pass rushing. They're known to go out there and generate pressure. Steve Wilks, he's not known for that. He's more so of a secondaries coach. That's why Travarius Ward had the best year of his career with him calling defensive plays. And their secondary was strong. They even made a trade to bring in Chase Young to try to beef up their pass rushing attack. And it worked for a couple of weeks. But when they went against Kansas City in that Super Bowl, they couldn't bring him down. And Steve Wilks, he was the hit guy for it. I feel bad for Steve Wilks, but now he's the defensive coordinator for the New York Jets. I feel like he still has a place in football, especially as being a very good defensive mind. But with the 49ers, it just didn't work out. So they let him go, and they promote Nick Sorensen. Now, you're in a hard spot there. That's a bad look on Kyle Shanahan. When you fire a coach so late in the season, especially during the Super Bowl time, it's not many coaches that you can go out there and bring in. Everyone else has been hired. That's a hot name. So you had to promote Nick Sorensen. He was not ready for this job. He was a terrible defensive coordinator with this organization. He was horrible. He's now the special team coordinator with the Dallas Cowboys. He's a former pass game coach in the past with the 49ers. Your secondary took a step back and your rushing defense took a step back with Nick Sorensen. So you let him go. Kyle Shanahan is still close friends with him. And you bring back Robert Saleh because things did not work out with the New York Jets. Not because he was a terrible coach. You still saw top defensive units with the New York Jets when he was their head coach. The offense let him down. You're bringing him back to just focus on defense and defense only. In my opinion, he was a better defensive coordinator than DeMeco Ryans. And both of those coaches, they're phenomenal. But with Robert Saleh coming back, you know that he's going to bring back energy. I'm looking at the preseason game here. Within just the first couple plays on defense, he's hyping up his defensive players. We didn't see this with Steve Wilks. We did not see this with Nick Sorensen. He's out there running up and down the sideline, jumping up and down to players. He's giving them that energy that they haven't had in a very long time. And DeMeco Ryans, he does the same thing with the Houston Texans. He did the same thing with the San Francisco 49ers many years ago. This is what the 49ers need the most. They need consistent defensive pressure up front. They went out there and they made moves to bring in Chase Young. It didn't work out long term. You bring in Leonard Floyd. He's no longer part of this roster now. But that's why you drafted Mikael Williams in the first round, who had 17 sacks in 3 years at Georgia. He could set the edge. He could stop the run. And he's been phenomenal in training camp. Every single time he steps out on the field, it's a report coming out that he's looking strong against the veteran tackles, that he's going out there. He's looking very good playing alongside Nick Bosa. And this is the thing here with Mikael Williams that is so scary. If you're not a fan of the 49ers, if you're a 49ers fan, this will work into your favor. We've seen edge rushers go out there and have career years when they play with Nick Bosa. Chase Young had a very good stint, but the motor wasn't high enough. His work ethic has always been in question, even dating back to the Washington Commanders days. But he had a good stint for a good couple of games there. Leonard Floyd was a very good pass rusher, but they had to move on from him because of the cap situation. So having Mikael Williams on that rookie deal, that's phenomenal. Nick Bosa is in the same conversation with top edge rushers like Micah Parsons, TJ Watt, and Myles Garrett. He's a former defensive player of the year for a reason. 9 sacks last year, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception. You want to get more out of him. But it's not always about the sack numbers with Nick Bosa. He can go out there, he can get double teamed a lot. It just frees up one-on-one opportunities for everyone else. And I look at Mikael Williams, he should be a star immediately. Straight out the gate, coming over from Georgia. When we look at these Georgia defensive ends, they find a place in the NFL early on. And this is what you need in this division. You look at the Arizona Cardinals, they have a very mobile quarterback in Kyler Murray. He can run the football. And they have a very good running back in James Conner. Look at the Seattle Seahawks, Kenneth Walker III, Zach Charbonnet. They love to run the football. And when you have a head coach in Kyle Shanahan, he loves to run the football. The one thing that he hates is when a team goes out there and they run the football down their throat over and over again. You can look on the sideline when he's shaking his head to when his defense, they're just getting ran over and they're getting beat by time possession. Kyle Shanahan, he hates that because that's what he operates his game plan on. And then he can work off of play action. When you have a coach like Robert Saleh, he's going to put the linebackers in the right situations. He's going to generate a lot of pressure up front. That's why you spent so many draft picks on defensive players this year. Alfred Collins, very good defensive tackle from Texas. You select him in the second round. He's not known for going out there and generating a lot of pressure in terms of sacking the quarterback here, but one thing he is known for is being a very good run stopper. Texas defense only allowed 3 yards of carry when he was on the field. Very good defensive tackle, and he should be a starter straight out the gate, sooner than later. Now, I know that you have Jordan Elliott. He's more so of a veteran right there. He's solid, but he's not going to go out there and be that game changer for you. Alfred Collins, he can be that game changer defensive tackle that you're looking for. I'm not saying that he's going to be the next Aaron Donald, be the next Cameron Hayward, be the next Kobe Turner, but he could be a very good, consistent player for you in the middle of this defense. But those few years there, when Robert Saleh was calling defensive plays, they had some of the best defenses in football. You had a top passing unit. You had a top rushing unit. They had top 5 defensive groups because of his play calling ability. He's a great defensive mind. The secondary here, they're very strong with a lot of young players. Charvarius Ward is no longer here. He's now with the Indianapolis Colts. There's a lot of reports that came out that they did not offer him a contract extension. I don't know that for sure, but that's where a lot of reports came out by certain journalists that follow the 49ers. But you look at Lenore, very good young player. Renardo Green, young, he's very good as well. on the back end of this defense. They can give you good moments, especially Renardo Green, who had 13 pass deflections last year, and you have Jair Brown. There's a lot of people in the national media and a lot of casual fans that pay attention to the 49ers here and there. They may say, hey, you lost some top defensive names. You lost Hufanga at the safety position. You lost Leonard Floyd. Javon Hargrave, he's no longer here. No Dre Greenlaw. All of those players are dealing with injuries, except for Leonard Floyd. And he was hot and cold at times. But Dre Greenlaw, you knew that he wasn't going to be the same player since he tore that Achilles. In that Super Bowl against Kansas City, just a freak accident. He's running on the field, tears his Achilles. I felt so bad for him. And that's when their defense also took a major hit. Travis Kelce was getting open a lot more when he was off the field. He's now with the Denver Broncos. Hufanga tore his ACL a few years ago. He hasn't been that same consistent safety on the field. He's given up some big plays. Still a very good football player, but it was time to move on. If you can't stay healthy, it's no reason to go out there and pay you a lot of money. Keep that in mind when I talk about a certain player on the offensive end here in the next few minutes. So even though they lost some of these names, it's okay. You bring back Robert Saleh. That's great. And Kyle Shanahan, he was looking to bring him back. It's a report that came out that the Jacksonville Jaguars, they cannot bring in Liam Cohen to be the head coach. They're going to hire Robert Saleh. So NFL circles, they still regard him as a top coach. And I doubt that he's going to be here long term because he will get another chance to be a head coach in football. The reason why things did not work out with the New York Jets, bad management, and he had a terrible quarterback in Zach Wilson. I'm very high on Robert Saleh. And you do have Nick Martin, who you drafted in the 3rd round. We'll say this about Nick Martin. Very good player out of OK State. He reminds me a lot of Dre Greenlaw. Very good in coverage, can cover running backs out of the backfield. Very good tackler. He missed 7 games at Oklahoma State his last season. Performed very well at the combine. He was projected to be a 2nd round pick until he went down with that injury. If he can stay healthy, having him play alongside Fred Warner, who is the best middle linebacker in the game, that's a recipe for success. And Fred Warner, he's just like Nick Bosa. Their plays speak for themselves. They're consistent players week in and week out. The thing is with Fred Warner, he rarely has bad games. You're not going to run a bunch of quick game on him. Those RPOs, he shuts that down immediately. He's just a great linebacker. He's phenomenal. This is players like this you build your defense around. And this is what the 49ers have done. He's a cornerstone piece with the 49ers. We always hear about George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, McCaffrey. Fred Warner has a huge impact every single week. And I just want to give him his flowers, and the same with Nick Bosa. But you rarely see Fred Warner take plays off because he doesn't. Just an amazing player to have on your team. So defensively, they'll be better. Now, offensively here, I look at Brock Purdy. Now, Brock Purdy is a very polarizing talent. My opinion, I view Brock Purdy as a top quarterback in football. You don't have to. You can say that he's a system quarterback. Regardless, this is the same quarterback. Rookie year, comes in, short notice, was taking 3rd string reps. 13 reps over and over again in training camp. When he was a rookie, Mr. Irrelevant. Comes out, becomes the most relevant name in that draft class. Gets them to the NFC Championship game. The year after, gets them to the Super Bowl against Kansas City. And he was not the reason why they lost that Super Bowl. He performed very well. In big time moments, Brock Purdy has always stepped up. With the talent around him, or even without the talent around him. He had the 10th most passing yards last season. 20 passing touchdowns and 12 interceptions. 3 of those interceptions were not his fault. But they did happen. It's the reason why they gave him the massive contract extension. Brock Purdy is a talented player. He may not be the biggest. He may not have the size like Josh Allen. He may not have the plays behind the line of scrimmage like Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. That's okay. What makes him special, in my opinion, is his ability to process, analyze plays very quickly. He gets that football out so quick. He rarely holds onto the football for a very long time. And he can make a lot of plays behind the line of scrimmage off schedule. We have a lot of scarecrows in the NFL right now. You look at Brock Purdy, he can go out there, have some sidearm throws. He can make some sweet throws here and there. But that's not the ideal spot. We've become so accustomed to looking at highlight plays by Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson. That's great. But can your quarterback go out there on a consistent basis and just deliver the football into tight window throws? And that is what Brock Purdy does. And I'm not trying to say that he's better than the top quarterbacks that I just named, but he deserves to be put in that conversation. We have quarterbacks in the NFL right now like Justin Herbert, who hasn't won a playoff game, and I love him. He's a great talent. We have Jordan Love as well. Great quarterback talent. They haven't been to a Super Bowl. They haven't been to a conference championship game. Brock Purdy has. And I'm not going to come on here and basically nitpick him and say, well, he has George Kittle. He has Christian McCaffrey. He has a great coach in Kyle Shanahan. Every good to great quarterback, they have great coaching. They have good to great talent around them. Let's stop docking players because of the situation that they're in. This man was the last pick in the draft. No one saw him coming out and being a superstar. And that's what he has become with the 49ers. An off year last year, yes. But I put him in the conversation as being a top quarterback in football. You guys can disagree with that. You have every right to. But for me, Brock Purdy deserves more respect. And just because he had a quote-unquote down year last year doesn't mean that he deserves to be knocked out of the top 10. He's a very good quarterback. And he's going to get you into places that you want to be in terms of being a winner in football. And he deserves his contract here. And if you are one of those fans, you're saying he doesn't deserve his money, they can cut him after the third year. It's no dead money after the contract. So they saved themselves on that end. They also may have screwed themselves because if he continues to go out there and he performs at this level, he can re-up in the next 3 years for a bigger deal. So it works out for everyone involved. But that's how I feel about Brock Purdy. The rest of the offense here, I do have some concerns. It's crazy that I have more confidence in their defense because of Robert Saleh with this upcoming season. I love Kyle Shanahan as a head coach, as an offensive play caller. The only problems that I have here are the health and the pieces around Brock Purdy. Brandon Ayuk. Remember when I said you're paying a lot of players a lot of money and they're missing time? Brandon Ayuk wanted his money. You can go back and listen to the videos. I'm all for players getting their money here, but it's the way that he went about it. He came in rusty in the season. When they went against the New York Jets Monday Night Football game, he had some drops in the red zone that hurt them, that could have went for touchdowns. It took some time for him to get into his groove because he missed time in training camp. Then he gets injured against Kansas City. Just bad luck. They were hoping that he was going to be able to go out there and ramp up in training camp and OTAs this year. That hasn't been the case. He's still dealing with that knee injury. Now a report came out by Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. They're hopeful that he can return for week 6. That's a long time to be without your number one wide receiver. When he's playing, he's their best wide receiver by far. It's the reason why you gave him the contract extension over Deebo Samuel. But they need him to be healthy and they need him to be that player that he was 2 years ago. I'm still high on Brandon Ayuk, by the way. He's a top 10 wide receiver when he's fully healthy. He just has to stay healthy and get his head in the game. They paid him his money, keep him on the team, but I'd love to see Brandon Ayuk be able to play at least week 6. We'll see what happens. Without Brandon Ayuk, you'll still be fine. George Kittle was phenomenal last year. During this 6-11 record, George Kittle had the 13th most receiving yards for anyone in the NFL. Tight ends and wide receivers included. He had 78 catches, 8 receiving touchdowns. He averaged 14 yards a catch. You could say that he was the best tight end in football last year. You could say that he's in front of Brock Bowers or behind Brock Bowers. To me, he's just an incredible talent. Still a top tight end in the game. When he's fully healthy, has dealt with injuries in the past. And when he's fully healthy, he's a complete tight end. He could block very well. He could do great work in the red zone. He could bust out those big plays for you across the middle of the field. Just a consistent target. Jawan Jennings, 975 receiving yards last year, 6 receiving touchdowns. He became a star last season. He's been a very good, consistent wide receiver when guys like Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk go down. You still have him on the roster. Ricky Pearsall, who you selected in the first round. This is the quote-unquote Deebo Samuel replacement. Shoulder injuries last year. Missed time. Got shot because someone tried to rob him. I'm glad that kid was taken care of because that was a stupid decision. But he was able to make it through. And he had some big-time moments on the back half of last season, especially against the Seattle Seahawks. He has potential to be a number one wide receiver one day in football. He was amazing at the college level. 400 receiving yards on 31 catches. 3 receiving touchdowns, average 13 yards a catch. They're going to be fine without Brandon Ayuk, but they'll be even better if he was on the field soon as week 1. It's also another reason why they signed DeMarcus Robinson, who is a very good and productive wide receiver from the Los Angeles Rams. You switch teams, it's basically the same system. Sean McVay comes over from the Kyle Shanahan tree, the same type of offense. And he was a very good, consistent wide receiver last season with the Rams. So while Brandon Ayuk is still recovering from this knee injury, they'll be okay in the wide receiving spot and in the tight end spot. Now, Christian McCaffrey here. Mentioned early in the video, started the season off in the wrong way. Achilles injuries, PCL injury against the Bills. When he's fully healthy, he's one of the best players in the game. But they have to be careful here. And Kyle Shanahan did get exposed last season. Don't get me wrong. When Christian McCaffrey was out and when he went down, the red zone offense was not the same. They took a major step back because Christian McCaffrey offers you so much in the red zone. Defense have to worry about him coming out the backfield as a wide receiver, running the football up the middle of the field, tossing it to the outside because he is so versatile. That's why Deebo Samuel and his snap count went down when Christian McCaffrey was first brought into the team with that trade within a few years ago. They need to limit his carries, save him for later in the season, save him for the playoffs. This is not the first time that McCaffrey has dealt with injuries. He dealt with a lot of injuries with the Carolina Panthers, and I am worried about McCaffrey long term. He plays the running back position. More times than not, when you're starting to deal with injuries, we've seen this with players in the past, the clock starts to tick on that career here. Well, he still had the same explosive speed coming out of the backfield. Now, I think that he will be fine, but because of the injuries that he had with the Carolina Panthers, I'm cautious here. Let Isaac Guerendo come in. Isaac Guerendo was a very good player last year. The same with him and the same with Jordan Mason. Isaac Guerendo had 420 rushing yards, four rushing touchdowns, averaged 5 yards a carry. And I don't know what it is. If it's Kyle Shanahan, it's his dad many decades ago with the Denver Broncos. They produce great run systems. And those running backs, they always find a way to go out there and they eat in those systems. It's a one-cut system. Put your foot into the dirt, you go on. All you have to do is reach your blocks up front. Take some of that workload off of Christian McCaffrey. Let Isaac Guerendo do some of the dirty work when it's 3rd and 2, 3rd and 4. And if you need McCaffrey on the field during those downs, when it's first down, maybe not go with Christian McCaffrey every single drive. Just save some of the miles on his body. And I'm not saying go out there and coach scared. We have a lot of coaches that do this. They coach not to lose instead of coaching to win. Big time moments, of course you put Christian McCaffrey on the field. But if you're up by 2-3 possessions, get Christian McCaffrey out the game. Let him rest up. Save him for those big time moments against heavy hitters in the NFC like the Philadelphia Eagles and the same with the Detroit Lions and maybe the Washington Commanders. The offensive line here, Trent Williams, one of the best in the game. I have him being the best left tackle still, even though he is getting older. He's just phenomenal. Dominic at the right guard position, he's very good. Colton is up and down. Colton is the most frustrating player to watch with the San Francisco 49ers because if you pay attention to him on the right side of the field, he'll have some big time moments of just being very consistent. Then the next thing you know, later on in the game, he's constantly getting ran through. And it's not even by top edge rushers. He just needs to be more consistent. I don't hate Colton as a starting right tackle, but sometimes he looks like a backup tackle. He just needs to be more consistent to protect the right side of Brock Purdy. But regardless of all that, I have the San Francisco 49ers being a top contender in the NFC. I may say even the second best team if they are fully healthy behind the Philadelphia Eagles because they're going to be well coached by Kyle Shanahan. We don't know what the Detroit Lions are going to look like. We're just looking at personnel right now. And I love the Detroit Lions. Love Dan Campbell as a head coach. But you have a brand new offensive coordinator, brand new defensive coordinator. That's a lot of carryover. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles just a few years ago. They lost their 2 top coordinators. They weren't the same. Talent can only get you so far. One thing I do know is that Kyle Shanahan is a great coach. And the same with Robert Saleh. The Washington Commanders, how will they look in year 2 with Jaden Daniels? A lot of people, they talk about a sophomore slump. We'll see if they can stay fully healthy with Dan Quinn. And losing Deebo Samuel is not a big deal. Deebo Samuel had the one breakout season a few years ago. He was more so of a gadget player. His role diminished when they brought in Christian McCaffrey. And he had a down year this previous year. Hasn't been that same wide receiver in a very long time. They're not going to miss Deebo Samuel that much. Now, here a lot of 49ers commentators are saying Deebo brought so much energy to the team. Yes, he did. Kyle Shanahan brings energy too, and the same with Robert Saleh. They're not going to miss him that much. They have a lot of young talent there, and it's time to get younger at the wide receiving position anyway. The Philadelphia Eagles are the only team right now that I will look at and say that's the toughest test for the 49ers. We know that they can defeat the Dallas Cowboys in the regular season and the same in the postseason. And we've seen the Eagles go out there and struggle against this 49ers team in the past and different variations of them. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers entering the 2025 season? Do you view last year as an outlier, or this is who the 49ers are now? you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.